The first frost came to the Bitterroot Valley that September morning. I stood in the doorway of my barn, coffee steaming in my hands, watching the sun burn off the white coating on my 40 acres. The Sapphire Mountains rose up to the east, pine-covered and patient. It was quiet except for the creek running through the back of my property and the occasional call of a red-tailed hawk hunting the meadow. I'd been here 8 months. 8 months since I sold the house in San Francisco, packed up 37 years of accounting files and Linda's things, and drove a U-Haul to Montana. This ranch, this silence, this space to breathe without calendars or client demands, or the empty rooms where my wife used to be. Linda and I had talked about Montana for years. Every vacation, every weekend drive up the coast, she'd say the same thing. "When you retire, Robert, let's go somewhere we can see the sky." She never got to retire. Cancer took her 2 years ago, 3 months before her 65th birthday. So I came alone, bought this place, 40 acres with a cabin, a barn that needed work, and a trout stream that ran year-round. The realtor called it rustic. I called it exactly what I needed. I'd spent the summer learning to fly fish, reading books I'd put off for decades, rebuilding the barn section by section. Some mornings I drove into Missoula for supplies, talked with folks at the hardware store, grabbed breakfast at the diner on Higgins Avenue. Most days, I stayed here. I was learning what it meant to wake up without an alarm, without a schedule, without anyone needing anything from me. I thought I'd finally found peace. The clean exit, the quiet retirement everyone talks about but nobody actually gets. Then my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but the area code was familiar. Bay Area. I almost didn't answer, but old habits, maybe, made me pick up. "Uncle Robert." The voice was bright, energetic, the kind that comes with a smile you can't see but know is there. "It's Tyler. Tyler Morrison." I knew who Tyler was. Linda's older brother, Mark's son. We'd seen him over the years at family gatherings, holidays, Linda's birthday parties, her funeral. Nice enough kid, I'd thought. A little too confident, a little too full of schemes, but harmless. Linda had always spoken about him with a mix of affection and concern. "Tyler," I said, "how are you doing?" "Great, actually. Really great. Hey, I heard you bought a place in Montana. A ranch near Missoula. Word travels fast in families, right?" Mark must have told him. Linda's brother had called once after I moved, asked how I was settling in. "That's right," I said. "It's beautiful out here." "I bet it is." "That's actually why I'm calling. I wanted to talk to you about an opportunity." "A real opportunity, Uncle Robert. I've been working in cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, the future of finance, and I'm setting up a mining operation." I took a sip of coffee, watched the hawk circle. "Okay, so here's the thing. I've been looking for the perfect location, somewhere with cheap electricity, cool climate for the servers, secure, off the grid. And when Dad told me about your 40 acres, I thought, this is it. This is exactly what I need." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "I'd love to partner with you on this," Tyler continued. "Set up the mining rigs on your property. You wouldn't have to do anything. I'd handle everything. Equipment, maintenance, operations. You'd just collect 30% of the profits. Passive income, right? Perfect setup for retirement." I looked out at my barn, at the meadow, at the mountains. "Tyler, I appreciate the thought, but this place is my home. I'm not interested in turning it into a business." "Oh, I totally get that. But listen, it wouldn't interfere with anything. We'd just use a corner of your land, maybe that back section near the tree line. You'd barely notice it. And honestly, Uncle Robert, 40 acres is a lot for one person. Seems like a waste not to make it work for you." There it was. The implication that I was being wasteful, inefficient, selfish. "And Tyler's voice softened, "Aunt Linda would have wanted you to help family. She always believed in family supporting family." The pivot to Linda, the suggestion that I wasn't honoring her memory correctly. "Linda and I bought this place because we wanted privacy," I said quietly. "That hasn't changed." "But she's not there anymore, is she?" His tone shifted, still friendly but with an edge now. "Look, I'm not trying to pressure you. I've just already started setting things up. Business plan, investors lined up, equipment ordered. I was really counting on this location, Uncle Robert. It would be a huge help. Family helping family, you know? I'm sorry, Tyler, but the answer is no. There was a pause. That's disappointing. Really disappointing. I'll have to figure something else out, I guess. Talk to you later. He hung up. I stood there for a long time, phone in my hand, watching the hawk dive into the tall grass and come up empty. Something wasn't right. The way he'd said he'd already started setting things up. The assumption that I'd just go along with it. The mention of investors. I went inside and made more coffee. Told myself I was overthinking it. Tyler was young, ambitious, maybe a little pushy, but he'd accepted my no. It was done. 3 days later, I got another call. This time from Tyler's sister, Michelle. I remembered Michelle, quieter than Tyler. Worked as a nurse in Oakland. Had been kind to Linda during her illness. Sent cards. Called to check in. Uncle Robert, it's Michelle Morrison, Tyler's sister. Michelle, how are you? I'm okay. Listen, I need to talk to you about Tyler. Did he call you recently about your ranch? He did. Wanted to use it for some kind of cryptocurrency operation. I told him no. She sighed, and I could hear the relief in it. Thank God. Look, I don't know how to say this, but Tyler's in trouble. Financial trouble. He's been running this crypto business for 2 years, and it's bleeding money. He owes investors. He's got debt from the last crypto crash. He's desperate. I'm sorry to hear that, I said carefully. The thing is, he doesn't take no for an answer. He's been telling people, his investors, that he's secured a location, a ranch in Montana. Your ranch, Uncle Robert. He's using your property in his business proposals, without your permission. The cold feeling came back, stronger this time. I saw the documents yesterday, Michelle continued. He's got photos of Montana ranches in his pitch deck. I don't know if they're actually your property, but he's claiming he has access to a 40-acre secured location near Missoula. He's taking deposits for mining contracts that start in November. Uncle Robert, I think he's planning to just show up and use your place, whether you agree or not. I sat down at my kitchen table. That's illegal. I know. But Tyler's not thinking straight right now. He's convinced himself that you'll come around, that family means we help each other no matter what. Our parents, they've always bailed him out before. He thinks it'll be the same with you. It won't be. I believe you. But I wanted to warn you. He's planning to come out there next week. He told Mom and Dad he's going to work things out with you in person. After we hung up, I did some searching online. Found Tyler's LLC. Found the website. And there it was. Promotional materials featuring 40-acre secured Montana facility. The photos weren't of my specific property, but they were clearly meant to represent it. Testimonials from supposed clients. Package deals. A booking calendar showing mining contracts scheduled through the winter. My property, advertised without my consent. I called a lawyer that afternoon, Jennifer Lee, recommended by my realtor. She'd handled the ranch purchase. She listened to everything, asked me to send her Tyler's website link, told me she'd be in touch. 2 days later, she called back. Robert, this is fraud. He's taking money for services he can't provide, using property he doesn't own or have permission to use. We can send a cease and desist, threaten legal action, but there's something else you should know. What? I did some digging. Tyler filed for bankruptcy last year. It was discharged, but barely. And according to public records, he's facing a lawsuit from a former business partner. There's also a lien on his condo in Oakland. This isn't just a kid with a bad business idea. He's drowning, and he's grabbed onto your ranch like a life raft. What do I do? First, we send the cease and desist. Make it clear he has no rights to your property. Second, document everything. Photos, receipts, anything proving exclusive ownership and occupancy. Third, if he shows up, don't engage. Call the sheriff. This is trespassing, potentially fraud. Let the authorities handle it. Okay. And Robert, change your locks today. I drove into Missoula that afternoon, bought new locks for the cabin and barn, installed them myself. It felt paranoid, changing locks on a property in the middle of nowhere because of a nephew who'd been to my house maybe twice in 10 years. But Michelle's warning kept echoing. He doesn't take no for an answer. The cease and desist went out. Certified mail. Jennifer sent me a copy. It was thorough. Immediate removal of all photos and references to my property. Refund of all deposits. Acknowledgement that he had no permission, no rights, no claim. Consequences if he didn't comply. For a week, nothing happened. Then Tyler called again. Uncle Robert, I got your lawyer's letter. I think there's been a misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding, Tyler. You used my property in your advertising without permission. That's fraud. Okay, that was wrong. I admit it. I got ahead of myself. But here's the thing. I've already taken deposits. People are counting on these mining contracts. If I cancel now, I'm ruined. Completely ruined. Can't we work something out? Just for the contracts I've already taken. I'll pay you 25% of each contract. That's fair, right? Tyler, the answer was no before, and it's no now. Refund the deposits. I can't. I spent that money on equipment, marketing, infrastructure. Uncle Robert, please. I'm begging you. Aunt Linda would have wanted you to help me. Don't do that. Do what? Use my wife's memory to manipulate me. I'm not manipulating anyone. I'm asking family for help. By committing fraud, it's not fraud if you give me permission. Retroactively. Look, I'm coming out there next week. We can talk about this face to face. You'll understand once I explain the whole situation. If you come to my property, I will call the sheriff. Jesus, Uncle Robert, you've changed. You used to be reasonable. He hung up. I called Jennifer again. She said we were prepared. She'd already contacted the county sheriff's office, warned them about possible trespassing. She sent a second letter. This one, more strongly worded, threatening criminal charges if Tyler didn't immediately remove the website content. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Michelle had said. He's desperate. Desperate people do unpredictable things. I got up around midnight, made tea, sat on the porch wrapped in a blanket. The ranch was completely silent, stars everywhere. This was supposed to be peaceful. This was supposed to be my refuge. The next morning, I drove into town, stopped at the diner for breakfast, ran into Deputy Mike Patterson. We'd become friends over the past few months, bonded over fishing. He was retired RCMP. Moved down from Alberta, now working part-time for the county. You look worried, Mike said. I told him. Not everything, but enough. Family problems. Someone threatening to use my ranch without permission. You change your locks? He asked. I did. You got a camera system? I didn't. Get one, he said. Simple setup. Links to your phone. You can monitor the place even when you're in town. These days you can get a decent system at any hardware store for a few $100. I went to the hardware store that afternoon, bought a 2-camera system, installed one covering the cabin door, one covering the main gate. Synced it to my phone. Felt ridiculous and relieved at the same time. 2 days passed, then 3. The photos came down from Tyler's website. Jennifer called to confirm. He's complying. That's good news. But something felt unfinished. I called Michelle. How's Tyler doing? I asked. She was quiet for a moment. Not good. He's talking about leaving the country, going to Thailand or Mexico, starting over. But it's just talk. He can't even afford a plane ticket. Uncle Robert, my parents are worried. Dad's talking about remortgaging their house again to bail Tyler out. How many times have they done that? 3. This would be 4. They can't afford it. They're 68 and 66. They should be retired, not taking on more debt because their son can't manage money. Does Tyler know this? He's counting on it. He always has. After we hung up, I sat with that for a while. Mark and Susan, Linda's brother and sister-in-law. Good people, traditional people, family-first people. The kind who would sacrifice anything for their kids, even when those kids were 32 years old and should have figured things out by now. Linda had always worried about them. She'd tell me Mark couldn't say no to Tyler, that they were enabling him, that it would collapse one day. She was right. A week later, I was in the barn working on the roof when my phone buzzed. Motion detected. Front camera. I opened the app. A man stood in front of my cabin door. Tyler, trying the handle. It didn't open. New locks. He knocked, waited, knocked again. I didn't move. Watched him through the camera. He walked around the side, tried to peer in windows. Then he went to the barn, tried that door. Also locked. He stood there for a minute, hands on his hips, looking around at my property like he was evaluating it. Then he pulled out his phone, made a call. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but his body language was animated, pacing back and forth. He walked down to the creek, stood there looking at the water, pulled out his phone again, took photos. My creek, my view, my land. I called the sheriff's office. Ravalli County Sheriff, how can I help you? This is Robert Chen. I'm at 2847 Bitterroot Road. I have an unwanted person on my property. He's been warned to stay away. Is he threatening you? Not directly, but he's been notified he's not welcome, and he's here anyway. We'll send someone out. Stay inside. Don't engage. 20 minutes later, I watched through the camera as a sheriff's cruiser pulled up. 2 deputies got out. Tyler walked toward them, all smiles, hands spread in a friendly gesture. They talked for a few minutes. Then one of the deputies walked to my door and knocked. I opened it. Mr. Chen? That's right. Sir, we have a Tyler Morrison here who claims he has permission to be on your property. Can you clarify? He doesn't. I never gave him permission. My attorney sent him 2 cease and desist letters. I pulled up the emails from Jennifer on my phone, showed him the letters. He read them, then walked back to Tyler. More conversation. Tyler's body language changed. Now defensive, arms crossed, shaking his head. Finally, the deputy came back to me. We've informed him he needs to leave immediately and not return. If he comes back, call us right away, and we'll charge him with trespassing. Do you want to press charges now? I looked past him at Tyler, who stood by his car, staring at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Anger, yes, but also something else. Betrayal, maybe. Like I'd broken an unspoken rule. Not right now, I said, but I want this documented. It will be. We'll file a report. You'll have a case number. They waited until Tyler drove off, then followed him to make sure he didn't turn around. I closed the door, sat at my kitchen table, and realized my hands were shaking. That evening, Michelle called. Tyler called me. He's furious. Says you had him arrested. I didn't. He was trespassing. The deputies removed him. He's telling everyone you're vindictive, that you're punishing him for asking for help. Mom and Dad are upset. They think you overreacted. Michelle, he took photos of my property after being told to stay away. What was I supposed to do? I know. I'm not criticizing you. But you need to know what's being said. Tyler's spinning this hard, making himself the victim. Of course he is. There's something else. His investors are threatening to sue him. He hasn't refunded their deposits like your lawyer demanded. He spent that money. He's in deep trouble, Uncle Robert, and I think he's going to try something desperate. Like what? I don't know. But be careful. 2 days later, I got a call from a woman named Sandra from Montana Adult Protective Services. She was a social worker, she said, conducting a wellness check. A wellness check on me. We received a concerning report. An anonymous caller said you might be experiencing cognitive decline, living alone in an isolated location, potentially unsafe conditions. I felt my jaw tighten. I'm 68 years old, in excellent health, and I'm a retired professional accountant. This is harassment. Sir, I understand this is uncomfortable, but we're required to follow up on every report. Would you be willing to meet with me? It would just be a conversation, nothing invasive. Who filed this report? I can't disclose that information, but I knew. Tyler. Another angle. Another attempt to destabilize me, to make me look incompetent, to create a narrative where his parents could step in and override my decisions. Jennifer, when I called her, was furious. This is malicious. We can fight it, but you'll need to cooperate with the wellness check. Show them you're completely fine. Then we document it as harassment and add it to our case. Sandra came out 3 days later. She was professional, almost apologetic. We sat in my kitchen. She asked me questions. Could I describe my daily routine? Was I taking any medications? Did I have family or friends checking on me? Could I do some basic cognitive tests? I answered everything, counted backward from 100 by sevens, drew a clock showing 3:15, remembered 3 words after a 5-minute delay. Elementary stuff. She looked around the cabin. Clean, organized, well-maintained. Asked to see the barn. I showed her the restoration work, the tools arranged on pegboards, my project notes. "Mr. Chen," she finally said, "I see no cause for concern here. You're clearly managing well. I'm sorry you were put through this. Can you tell me now who filed the complaint?" She hesitated. "I probably shouldn't, but given the circumstances, I think you have a right to know." The caller identified himself as your nephew, Tyler Morrison. He said he was concerned about you living alone after your wife's death, that you'd become withdrawn and might not be capable of managing your affairs. He's harassing me because I won't let him use my property for his business. I suspected something like that. For what it's worth, I'll note in my report that the complaint appears to have been filed in bad faith. After she left, I called Jennifer again. "We're building a case," she said. "False police reports, fraudulent health concerns. If he keeps this up, we can get a restraining order." But I didn't want a restraining order. I didn't want any of this. I wanted my peaceful retirement. I wanted to sit on my porch and watch the hawks. I wanted to read and work on my barn and not think about lawyers and police reports and family dysfunction. That evening, Mark called. Linda's brother. The first time I'd heard from him since all this started. "Robert, what's going on with Tyler?" I told him everything. The unauthorized website, the trespassing, the false health complaint. He was quiet for a long time. "Tyler told us you were being unreasonable, that he offered you a fair business deal and you rejected it out of spite. Mark, he committed fraud. He advertised my property and took money without my permission. He said it was a misunderstanding, that he thought you'd agreed. I never agreed. I told him no from the first conversation." Another long silence. "Susan and I are thinking about remortgaging the house to help him out of this mess." "Don't do it. He's our son. He's 32 years old, and you've been bailing him out his entire adult life. When does it stop?" "That's easy for you to say. You don't have kids." The words hit like a punch. Linda and I couldn't have children. We wanted them. We tried. It didn't happen. Mark knew that. He said it anyway. "You're right," I said quietly. "I don't have kids, but Linda was worried about this. She told me years ago that you couldn't say no to Tyler, that it was hurting him more than helping him." Linda didn't understand. "She understood better than you think. Look, Mark, can't you just help him out? Let him use the ranch for a few months. He'll pay you. He can work his way out of this." "He can't pay me. He has no money. And even if he did, the answer is no. This is my home, not a business property. Family is supposed to help each other. Help, yes. Enable self-destruction? No. If you remortgage your house for him, Mark, what happens when this business fails too? What happens when you're 70 and still paying off debt because Tyler can't stand on his own feet? That's not your concern. You're right. It's not. But Linda was my wife, and I think I owe it to her to tell you what she would have said. She would have told you to stop, to let Tyler face the consequences of his choices, to let him grow up. "I think we're done here," Mark said, and hung up. I sat there in the dark, phone in my hand, feeling the full weight of being alone. Linda would have known what to say. She could have navigated this with grace. She'd always been the bridge between me and her family. Without her, I was just the outsider who married in, the one who was supposed to be grateful, accommodating, generous, the one who was supposed to say yes. 3 weeks passed, quiet weeks. I worked on the barn. I hiked the trails around my property. I finished a biography of John Muir. Spring was giving way to fall. The aspen were turning gold. The elk were moving down from the high country. Then Jennifer called. "Robert, we have a problem. Tyler's filed a lawsuit against you." "A lawsuit?" "He's claiming you verbally agreed to a business partnership and then breached it. He's suing you for $50,000 in lost investment opportunities." I stood up, started pacing. That's insane. There was never an agreement. Not verbal, not written, nothing. "I know. It's a frivolous case, and we'll get it dismissed. But you'll have to respond." Show up for court dates. It's going to be a hassle. And there's something else. He's been posting about you on social media, calling you a cruel, selfish man who refuses to help family in need. It's being shared in local community groups. Can he do that? Technically, yes, if he's not making false factual claims. But it's clearly meant to damage your reputation. We could pursue defamation, but that's expensive and time-consuming. I sat back down. So he can just do this. Lie, harass, drag me through court, trash my name online. For now, yes. But Robert, people like this eventually run out of rope. The case will be dismissed. The harassment will become clear. He'll discredit himself. It just takes time. Time. I had time. That's what retirement was supposed to give me, but not like this. That night, I got an email from Michelle. Uncle Robert, I need to tell you something. I hired a forensic accountant to look at Tyler's business records. I suspected he'd been embezzling funds from the loans Mom and Dad gave him. I was right. He's been using their money for personal expenses. Vacations, restaurants, a truck he didn't need. The business barely exists. It was a slush fund for his lifestyle. I showed the evidence to Mom and Dad. They're devastated. They've cut him off. No more money. No more bailouts. They also canceled the remortgage. I thought you should know. And I'm sorry. Sorry we didn't believe you sooner. Sorry Tyler did this to you. He's my brother, but what he did is unforgivable. I read the email 3 times, then forwarded it to Jennifer. This changes things, she said when I called. His lawsuit loses what little credibility it might have had. A judge will see he's committed embezzlement, that this is part of a pattern. We'll file a motion to dismiss and include this information. 2 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Uncle Robert, it's Tyler. I said nothing. I know you're there. I can hear you breathing. Look, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I messed this up. Everything got away from me, and I panicked and did things I shouldn't have done. The lawsuit was stupid. I'm dropping it. And the social media stuff? I'll take it down. I'm just sorry. He sounded tired, defeated, not the confident, energetic voice from that first phone call. Tyler, I said slowly, I hope you get help. Real help. Not money, not bailouts. Professional help. Therapy, financial counseling, whatever you need. But I can't be part of your life. Not after this. I understand. And if you contact me again, if you come near my property, if you mention me online or anywhere else, I will pursue every available legal option. Do you understand that? Yes. Good. Then I hung up. A week later, Jennifer called. The lawsuit's been withdrawn. It's over. Is it? As far as the legal system is concerned, yes. Whether he'll actually leave you alone, only time will tell. But you did everything right, Robert. You set boundaries. You documented everything. You didn't get emotionally involved. You won. It didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving. That evening, I was sitting on the porch when I heard a car coming up the drive. I tensed, checked my phone. The camera showed a vehicle I didn't recognize, but the person who got out was Michelle. I walked around to meet her. I hope it's okay that I came, she said. I wanted to apologize in person. For Tyler, for my parents, for all of this. You don't need to apologize, Michelle. You tried to warn me. I should have done more. I should have stood up to him years ago. We all should have. We walked down to the creek, sat on a fallen log with our feet near the water. How are your parents? I asked. Angry, hurt, but also relieved, I think. They know now they were enabling him. They're actually in counseling, trying to figure out how to have a relationship with Tyler that doesn't involve rescuing him. That's good. Tyler's moving to Colorado, Denver. He's got a friend there who offered him a job. Construction. Real work, not another scheme. Maybe it'll be good for him. Maybe. We sat in silence for a while, watching the water move over the rocks. Patricia used to talk about you, Michelle said. She said you were one of the few people in our family whose life was figured out, who didn't need constant drama to feel alive. I don't know about that, but she was right. You knew what you wanted. This, she gestured at the ranch, the mountains, the creek, Peace. Most people spend their whole lives not knowing what they want, or knowing and never having the courage to go after it. Your Aunt Linda had courage, I said. More than me. She loved you, Michelle said. She told me once that being with you was like finally being able to breathe after holding her breath her whole life. I felt my throat tighten. Didn't trust myself to speak. Anyway, Michelle said, standing up, I should go. But I wanted you to know that not everyone in the family is like Tyler. Some of us appreciate what you've built here, what you are. And if you ever need anything at all, you can call me. After she left, I stayed by the creek until the stars came out. The hawk was hunting, diving for fish, its calls echoing across the water. The mountains were dark silhouettes against the sky. Everything was exactly as it should be. I thought about Linda, about the ranch we'd planned to buy together, the retirement we'd imagined, the life that got cut short, about how she'd loved her family despite their chaos, how she'd navigated their drama with grace and firmness I never quite mastered. I thought about Tyler, about the cascade of choices that led a seemingly decent kid to fraud and harassment and desperation, about Mark and Susan, about the complicated math of parental love. I thought about Michelle, about quiet dignity, about the courage it takes to see your family clearly. And I thought about myself, about standing my ground, holding my boundaries, protecting what was mine, about not caving to pressure or guilt or the idea that family means sacrificing everything. Linda would have been proud of that, I thought. The next morning, I went back to work on the barn. It was almost finished. Another week, maybe 2, and I'd be done. I was also thinking about getting a horse. I'd seen a rescue gelding at a ranch outside Hamilton, a quiet bay with kind eyes. Maybe it was time. I'd found my peace, not without cost, not without conflict, but I'd found it nonetheless. And this time, I didn't let anyone take it away.